Hey everyone, this is the NativeScript core team. Most of the senior developers and managers are here on this meeting. Our primary goal is to walk you through the upcoming 3.0 release and to explain in some better detail what does it include, what are the major reasons behind each single breaking change, and also to let you share your opinion with us, ask your questions so that we can address them. Basically, the agenda is we have prepared two documents. One is kind of a white paper that explains the reason of the changes and how each change would affect you as plugin author or application author. And the next document that we prepared is a comprehensive list of all the breaking changes and how to migrate from old code to new code. I will handle now the conversation to Alex, who will make an introduction to the major reasons and three major categories of why we needed the breaking changes in the first place. So Alex, please.
Hi guys, I'm Alex. So I will try to explain what are the underlying reasons to introduce these changes in the first place. And basically we have three reasons to do a major version and possibly break some applications, but we believe that's all reasonable. So the first reason, maybe the most important, is performance. So we did some careful profiling of our code and we identified some areas of the code that can be written in much more performant way. But in order to do so, we reached to the conclusion that we have to break some of the APIs and to rewrite some of the code. So performance is one of the reasons. The other one is API improvement. So we noticed that we have some inconsistencies in some of the APIs, and we wanted to fix them as soon as possible. Many of these APIs were previously deprecated in older versions. For example, some of the APIs were deprecated in the 2.4 version and remained deprecated in the 2.5 version of NativeScript, and now we have completely removed them so they don't cause confusion and clutter the code. Also, as a part of this point, we try to write the NativeScript modules in more ECMAScript 6 compliant way. ECMAScript 6 compliant way, and so there are some changes related to that. Maybe the major one is that in ECMAScript 6 models, you're not allowed to expose fields as an export of your model. So some of the API changes you might see is that some of the fields that we have previously exposed are now methods for getting a setting property or a setting inside of the models. So be aware of that. And the final reason is extensibility. So we noticed that some of the changes that we are introducing by adding new features are really hard to make, and the code becomes harder to maintain. So we decided that it's reasonable to introduce maybe some breaking changes, but make the APIs easier to use, easier to extend, and to achieve better separations of concerns when writing new features. So extensibility is one key point that we're trying to address with this release. And from now on, I'll try to go through the the main affected areas by this release, where you may expect some breaking changes to hit you, and what you can do about them, and how to fix your code. So the first thing you might notice is that our whole view hierarchy is changed. So we have a bunch of classes that are ancestors of the view class. We had observable, dependency observable, bindable, proxy object, and then view class. And as a part of the 3.0 release, we completely written our property system and the way properties are defined, sorting in the view classes and in observable classes, and that allows us to greatly simplify this view hierarchy. So now we have only three classes: observable, view-based, which derives from observable, and a view class that derives from view-based. So we hope with this change that we'll simplify plugin afters when developing new plugins, because the things will be much simpler to it will be much simpler to understand which class you should derive, extend, and after all, now you have only 3 classes. Before you had 5, and it wasn't really clear what are the responsibilities of these classes. So you get this document after the presentations. You'll get more detailed descriptions of all these classes, what's their intention, when to use them, and how to relate them to the old classes in case you've used one of the old classes which were available before the 3.0 release. Just one note here, the dependency observable, bindable, and the proxy object classes no longer exist in the 3.0 version. So if you have used some of them, you might consider using view-based most probably class or observable directly. So this is one of the changes we expect to affect most of the people that will be affected at all. And maybe I will handle the mic to Christu, that will explain exactly the changes in the property system, which is where the most benefits are in the 3.0 release.
Okay. So, hi guys, I'm Christu. So just to add some additional info about these base classes. The observable class is mostly the same as before. It's a little bit improved from performance perspective. So there is only one breaking change in the observable class, and it's the constructor that accepts JSON. So we have removed this constructor and exposed 2 static methods on the observable module, which will allow you to create observable from JSON objects. The view-based class is mostly used when you have views that either don't have native views, or their native view is created by their parent. For example, we have written here some examples like action bar. Action bar items are now view-based descendants. Tab view items are also view-based descendants, and this allows us to apply CSS and property inheritance, binding context inheritance, and so on. So it will be much easier to style those classes, and you no longer need to inherit to override some internal methods like before, for example, on binding context change. And the other difference is that view-based inheritance view-based descendants does not support layout. So, for example, you can set width or height on action items because they don't have visual presentation that we can control. And all other views like buttons, labels inherit from the view base class. They create their own native view, and most of the time you want to inherit from the view class. We will show you an example of what's sample text. Yeah, some sample control that it inherits from view. That's one of the changes. The other major change is the property system and how you define properties. In 2.5 you had to create property and use our get value and set value private methods to set the value of this property. We totally removed these methods and these properties and changed them with a new one. Let me show you some code, for example. Yeah, the new way of creating properties we have. First, let me talk about the new properties. We have several type of properties. One is property, which is just property defined on a view descendant, where you specify. Yeah. These are properties like ID on a view base or text property on a label. Then we have CSS property, which is defined on style, and you can create properties like this, and then you register it like this. What this register is doing is actually to call object defined property. So the style prototype gets property like this with this name. This change will affect almost every UI component because we totally we have deleted the old get and set system, and we have also removed the stylers from the style class. So
just a quick, if I may chime in. Actually, if you do not have some custom code or some custom plugin, these changes will most probably not affect any existing application that uses standard or predefined core modules. So this is, I think this is something important that should be noticed.
Yeah, we try to limit the scope of the breaking changes, but every UI plugin should be rewritten in the new way. If all plugins are migrated, then probably applications won't have any problems running with the new UI plugins and the new modules. So one other change we did was to completely drop the enums module. It's still in the code, but we don't use it internally, and most of you reported that you think that this is incorrectly to put all enums in single module. So now we expose our types as strings, for example, like this. So this property is of type string, but this string could be left, center, or right. This change won't affect XML code that is written in CSS and XML, but if you are using some types nums in TypeScript, then you may need to change. Yeah, it's written here. So, as I said, we don't use enums models, and it will be good if you stop using it too. Some other breaking changes: our formatted string class and our span class now inherits from ViewBase, and because ViewBase is styleable object, they now use font properties, font style, color, and every style property from the style object, and we removed few properties that were matching those from the style. These are described in the breaking changes document. With the changes that we made, we implemented pixel support. So now you can actually have a single pixel border, and we decided that it would be good to push it for 3.0 because we have breaking changes, so we decided to put it in here. How this will affect you? If you use numbers like in 2.5, nothing will change because every property like margin, padding, width, and height will be by default in device independent pixels, but now you can specify pixel support like 1px or 5px, and because of this pixel support, when you get the value of margin, padding, or border width or width, for example, you could the object that is returned may be something different from number, like it used to be in 2.5. And that's it for here. We also adopted TypeScript 2.2, which allows us to remove some of the custom typings that we were shipping, and this will affect you if you are using TypeScript to write your plugin. So what needs to be done is to up these options in the TypeScript in tsconfig.json file. Now we removed our custom typings and use the ones that ships from TypeScript. This is mainly because of Angular 4.
Yeah, we had some compatibility issues with Angular, and especially when we tried to use Webpack. So many problems were related to the fact that we ship custom stuffs for some of the lib classes like map and such. So we decided just to drop them and use the one that goes with the TypeScript compiler. It's just a better solution.
Yeah. We also changed how you reference modules, if you like to say this.
Yeah. So we did some optimizations about how we structure our code. So we stopped using these ambient model definitions, which is something related to TypeScript, and there's a detailed explanation here, but the bottom line is that after you start using the 3.0 release, you might have to do some changes in your tsconfig file of your project But if you're using plugin or if you're using an application, it doesn't matter. You just have to add some compiler options to your tsconfig file, and everything should be fine. So again, these changes were related to Angular and to the ahead of time compilation that Angular does, which was really problematic if you're using ambient models. So I decided to drop them. But overall, the changes are not severe, just you have to update your TS configuration.
Yeah, so as Alex said, the point of this release was to improve as much as possible the performance of NativeScript modules and to reduce the overhead that the modules have. So here are some metrics that shows performance improvements compared from 2.5 and 3.0, and what we did actually was to reduce the numbers of method calls when a property changed, to reduce the base classes, to reduce the setters in those constructors, and to optimize as much as possible method calls and to reduce even native call. So we are not done with this performance improvements, because we plan to recycle the native views that are created for every view, and I will show you, for example, one type here. First, we define some class which extends view, and define the property of type string. This is just to make TypeScript happy, because the implementation of this property will be done by using this register method. So what we want to do is to create a control that have text property, and this is how you create a new property for this type. My text view common. The property of the type is string, and the name of the property will be text. You can set default values, value change handlers, converters, and so on. And this register method actually declares the property on this type. Then when this property is changed, we define new methods, set native, which is called once we set this property, and this method knows how to transfer the value of the property to the native widget. So what else should we talk? Yeah, the other major change is that we removed entirely the stylers, as I said. Styler property change handler, and all related classes are removed. And now we use this type of registration to how do I say it? To apply CSS properties on a native view. So actually now it will be much easier for you to create a CSS property. Here is one example of a CSS property. You define new CSS property or inherited CSS property. It depends on what you need. Set the name of the CSS property, the CSS name, and probably some converter. And then in your control, you just define those get default value methods and set native methods, and call the native setters of the widget. That's it for now. No more stylers, style property change handlers, and the other classes. Yeah.
Yeah, I personally believe that this much improved ease of use is something that we believe will be valuable to you as plugin authors when you need to build some custom UI plugin. This approach is A, much more straightforward, and B, much easier to implement.
Yep. And the other big change was the recycling of native view. First, if you have written a UI plugin, you know that we had create UI private method with the slash in front. We decided that these APIs should be public and well documented, so we created 3 new methods: create native view, which is of type object, but actually it should return the Android view or UI view descendant. Init native view, this method will be called after create native view, and here you need to initialize the view, set listeners, or if something that should be done when to initialize the native view. And dispose native view, this method will be called once we know that your control will no longer be used, so the native view will be cached inside map, so other instances of your control could use actually the native view. But I guess we'll have another deep dive article explaining in details all those new features. 2 other changes that are made public now. We had each child method with underscore again private method in 2.5, which is now public, and we added new each child method, which is called for every, which should be called for every view, and the details are written here, but in short, each child should return every descendant of view. For example, our tab view have tab view items, which are view based, but they have view property which is of type view. So each child should return even tab view item instances, so we can apply CSS binding inheritance and CSS inheritance properties, and each view should return only the tab view item views. And I guess that's all for now, for the moment.
Yeah, actually,
yeah, we forgot to show the the performance improvements. Here are some.
Let me just share first the screen. Yeah, so that we now see the Excel file. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I unzoom it? Or... Yeah, this is let's say a micro benchmark of some methods called different times. So with the red color is something that's smaller than, that's slower in 3.0. But in Android there are a lot of fluctuations, so this shouldn't be
much of a concern.
Yeah, this is not a concern. And you can see here that we have between I forgot what was between 25 and 400% improvement, for example, here and here. 2.5 this operation takes like 7 seconds, and in 3.0 it takes like 2 seconds.
Yeah, again, just to reiterate, this sheet here explains, shows some synthetic tests which actually project into these real-world performance improvements, which is something between 20 and 30%.
Yep.
So, okay, guys, just a quick update about what's coming next. Our plans are to release the first release candidate next Wednesday. That is 29th of March. We have scheduled enough time, 4 weeks, until we aim for the official release, so that we make sure that we collect all the feedback you may have, address what's addressable, and also help you migrate your plugins and address some potential issues with the plugins, so that ultimately when we come with the official release, the migration pain for the end user is as little as possible. That's it. I would like to thank you for joining this meeting and taking your time to listen to us talking and describing the breaking changes. We do count on your help. We couldn't we wouldn't be able to make the release painless for the end users without your help here. So we do count on your feedback, and how do you perceive the upcoming release, and what do you think we might improve, and how? Dan, would you like to say something else?
Yeah, I think this is very comprehensive, and I appreciate you doing this. There haven't been too many questions so far, but I imagine those will come later. The only question that came up is Sebastian wanted to know if we had a working UI plugin with the new syntax as a reference. Is that something we have published?
One of the major UI plugins we have is our UI for NativeScript. It will be released as a release candidate next Friday.
Yes.
Dido, you can say.
I can confirm. Then I believe you asked if we have plugins which are like open source, which can be used as a reference, migration reference, right?
Right.
So I believe we can use the code snippets that the guys here have shown in the document, migration document, and probably make some really simple examples, migration examples.
Actually,
because the UI for NativeScript is not open source, we are going to migrate it, but it's currently a private repository on GitHub, and people cannot use it as a reference.
Okay.
Actually, by far the most complicated UI plugins is the NativeScript modules themselves, so they can certainly be used as a reference code because they are already migrated, obviously. So all the widgets that are shipped by default with TNS Core modules package, all of them are actually UI widgets that compile with the new property systems and a new view hierarchy and all the new stuff.
Very good.
And yes, I'd like to add another thing that might be of interest for some curious experts. We do have internal bits published to NPM already. They're behind the internal dash preview tag. So we are using these packages to integrate with our continuous integration builds. So if someone is curious to play with the bits after the meeting immediately, and he can just update the package JSON and use the internal preview tag.
Very good. Okay, we have a comment from Alex that says formatted text from ViewBase equals awesome. Carrie says, thank you, great information. Mike Brainstein says, thanks for sharing, guys. Nathan Walker says, great work, very exciting changes. Really reassuring to know your focus is always continuing to improve performance. Steve Scott says, I have at least a couple of plugins affected by this, but I'll jump through hoops to update for the benefits. New styling makes much more sense. Thanks so much for all the hard work. And then Alex Zieskin has a question. Is the UI for NativeScript plugin going to maintain compatibility with 2.5?
The new version of UI for NativeScript will be targeting NativeScript 3.0, but the older versions are available NPM. So if someone's using 2.5 or earlier versions, then they will be able to reference an earlier version of UI for NativeScript. And if there are any major problems or bugs that need to be fixed, we can issue an update eventually.
Very good. That seems to be all the questions, so I'm going to stop the recording now.